politics. For Brazil 10 years ago, many of your countries have regularly scheduled elections, and you are under the illusions that you are creating a leadership that represents your values and ideals. This is not so, with only a few exceptions. The so-called elected leaders have very little to do with leadership of the people. They are also not directly part of the illusion of control, manipulation, and domination. They are puppet, they are the servant, and even if they see people, beings, whatever, saying that the elites are behind it, and who is above the elite? Who is behind the elite? Who is on top of the elite, if not the corrupted, occult government? That they are not saying here. They are also not directly part of the illusion, control, manipulation, domination of the society, but they must see how nice you all carry favor of the aliens, and you all also worship reptilians. Reptilians give you favor, give you power, give you money, but in the end the reptilian give you way. Yeah, reptilian tells on you, tell bad things about you. They don't want to take responsibility, so they shift on all of you. They are merely puppets of the ruling elite. Yeah, and who the ruling elite are puppet of, if not the reptilian? Why aren't you telling the truth? Taking the orders from a conglomerate of special interests, lobbyists, and black operatives that function outside the budget and control of the elected parties. Most of the elected leaders have no idea who is in control of the society. They merely do their job, which largely involves getting re-elected, and seldom question what they are doing. As with the various social systems, the political structures will begin breaking down as Earth approaches the zenith of change. Because reptilian is exposing their servants and shift all that karma and the responsibility to them and guilt, because they have no feeling way. Many political scandals will bring to light the corruption that has been there for a very long time, also done by you all, but which has been ignored due to the massive denial of the politicians and the people they are supposed to represent. What can the people do? If you reptilians are behind all this, what can the people do? Tell me, what more can they do? They go to those streets, they form protests, but for what? Nothing seems to change. As long as the reptilians is in power behind the scenes, nothing will change. The solution, as always, is for each individual within the political system to evolve a greater awareness of the nature of the soul, and to realize that no authority figure is going to save them from themselves. All a fool will lean on government. Only needed enlightened individuals create enlightened groups, which in turn create enlightened policies and procedures. That's the only way the political structures of Earth will change for the better. Hey, come on, and be honest. Just tell if it is. Aliens and reptilians are behind all this, right? And those people are just working for them, but they don't want to lose the power and money that they have reached up to now. They have get up to now, achieve. So they have to keep mum and put up with all of your accusations against them. Huh? Tell the truth. As your teachers have repeatedly stated, change begins within each one of you, and blah 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 blah. Very easy to talk. Your social and political structures will likely break down completely before they are rebuilt, of course, because you are all in power now. You want to take back Earth, so yeah, everything is crumbling down. London Bridge is coming down, and so is all the Humpty Dumptys. There could be a prolonged period of chaos and confusion as the old structures crumble. Many fear-based individuals will resort to violence and other insanities in a vain attempt to protect what they believe is theirs. In the Channels country, the USA, there could be a second revolutionary period where the working class simply refuses to support the ruling elite anymore. I've not seen it coming. Up to now, it didn't come. Only Hong Kong that has so far acted it up. Only in Asia, Hong Kong, and some in Brazil, but they do in Brazil only when there's a woman behind in the working as a Muppet. She's a working Muppet, and then they don't support Muppet female, so they're going to road using what they call pots and pans, bling, 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 to take away the woman from power. The woman is just a Muppet. She works for those who are above in power, but now because it's male, everybody just shut up. When it's male, nobody goes with pots and pans to the street to protest. That's how hypocrite and fake, coward they are. They might choose to stop paying taxes or nobody's doing that. Or abiding by the rules and procedures of the games of the ruling elite. You say that 10 years ago, 10 years went by, nothing really happened except in Hong Kong. They might form their own systems of currency and stop trading with fiat currency. Some of them might form militias. Nonsense. You reptilian talk so much, you reptilian like imagine, but nothing really happened. Specific political and military predictions. As stated numerous times before, the governments of the world are largely controlled by a ruling reptilian that could be your elite. Tell the truth. And those who live under the ground in the Agartha, hollow earth, often called the illuminatti. It's not just the illuminati. There is more than just the illuminati. There's many other groups, and there's the then occult government that we are not telling. That consists of a small number of individuals and organizations that make decisions affecting most of the world. The original purpose of the Illuminati was to illuminate the hearts and minds of people, spiritual seekers. Today, all about 10% of its members still uphold the original purpose. The vast majority have become mesmerized by the illusion of power and control. As the world accelerates towards the fourth density, most of the rulers will find it increasingly difficult to maintain the illusion of control. This illusion, like most, requires a great deal of secrecy and denial. Once light shines into darkness, the darkness vanishes. And so the dark enclaves of the illuminati depend on being anonymous and hidden from the light of scrutiny. They are so much illuminated that they are on the dark yet, and they kind of hide in the dark. How to understand? How ironic. Some of the more enlightened members of the ruling elite are aware that great change is coming. They may or may not understand the spiritual aspects of the change, but they can see that the planet is running out of easily obtainable resources and that the climate is changing. Some Illuminati operatives have channeled the black funding into elaborate schemes designed to protect themselves during the earth changes. They have built extensive underground tunnels and storage areas and are even constructing underground cities in order to keep the members in control while the surface of the earth undergoes cataclysm. In the meantime, the rulers will do whatever they can to gain control of the dwindling resources. They will start wars with the express purpose of gaining control of the oil fields and fresh water. As they become more desperate, they will even forego the usual formalities of international law in favor of ruthless conquest. They will dissolve the system of checks and balances that many governments set up as a way of distributing the power more evenly throughout the system. They will likely invoke emergency powers acts, aka martial law, in order to enforce those laws, rules, and procedures. They feel are necessary in order to preserve the position in society. Let's talk about fear. The military systems of the world are mostly controlled by the Illuminati. The government and the reptilian, why don't you mention that? Why? Something really fishy. If you are not a reptilian, why are you defending them? The governments will be pressured and coerced into war under the guise of protecting the people. The Illuminati operatives use mind control and other propaganda techniques to convince the people that there is a real enemy that needs to be overcome. In reality, the only enemy is within your consciousness. Oh no, there's no enemy, huh? Those who rape and plunder there in Europe, who behead people on the streets. Recently, a French teacher, been beheaded by a Muslim. Oh no, but there's no enemy. No, no enemy. You see, from there on, you can see who is preaching all this, who are behind all this, what kind of people in Tahiti are disclosing all this, in the form of fear and the belief in separation. However, until enough people realize this, there will be escalating warfare. Of course, we have religions, mental cycles, religions zealotry, and religions fanatics. People have no other way, have no choice. Then what? Go to stand by and be slaughtered one by one? Huh? As oil and other resources become more scarce, more and more wars will break out in an attempt to control the supplies. I don't see that. I don't know why I don't see. Only you see, I don't see. The Galactic Confederation, what? and other off-planet organizations will step in to prevent the use of nuclear, chemical, and electromagnetic weapons. But the use of conventional weapons will continue, although it can be prevented if enough souls wake up fast enough. It's likely that a third world war will ensue. Okay, but when? When will this third war come? Some souls believe war will get them what they want. Example, the spoils of their so-called enemies. But in reality, war will hasten the demise of the third world. Some military organizations will become fragmented and decimated as a result of nearly continuous warfare and disillusionment among the soldiers. Someone on your world once said, "What if they gave a war and nobody came?" That will eventually happen. There are only so many able-bodied soldiers available to fight the Illuminati wars. They will, of course, attempt to resort to new exotic weaponry that requires less manpower, but their attempts at exploding these weapons will largely fail, knowing that they cannot simply push a button and annihilate their enemies. The warriors will be forced to induct people that are normally too young or too old to fight. This will be met with a tremendous amount of resistance, and defections will reach an all-time high. The lack of money and material resources to keep building the military legally, various black operatives will take over with their nearly unlimited funds. But one thing they still depend on to keep their wars going is the participation of soldiers. Many soldiers will be sick from chemical poisons, such as depleted uranium. Others will be disheartened, and still others will be dying from immune system disorders. Why don't you all do something? You say you are God, you say my God. Why don't you do something about these disorders here? Why? You won't complain. You say you are God, this and that, but you do nothing. For what you are gods? You are nonsense. You are no gods at all. Some will awaken spiritually and start questioning why they are fighting. Some of their superiors will also beginning to question the status quo. If I were a man, I would not go. I'll die. I'll go for martial law. I'll go to the jail. I will die, but I will not take part of the military. Really, I wouldn't. If I live in a communist country where going to army is compulsory, I will not go. I would not never go. I'd rather die. Begin to question the status quo and begin to grow spiritually. The emergency of the new earth. Eventually, the population of the earth will be beginning to decline and the remaining resources will beginning to grow. And balance will be restored. It is expected that large areas of the planet will be uninhabitable for many years, either due to warfare. But when will this happen? Climate change or disease. Most sea level cities will be decimated. The oceans will rise and obliterate the coastlines. Yeah, it's happening now. The oceans are rising up and invading. The dead will pile up as the immune system disorders turning. Immune system disease accelerate. Pollution from warfare will make large land areas poisonous. Chemical dumps Droughts and floods will drive the surviving population to migrate in search of food and water. Now I ask, when will ever this drama ever stop? When all this nonsense will ever stop? It don't come to say, because humans have to change mentality. It has nothing to do with humans alone. It is you, reptilians and Dracos. Tell the truth. I'm sick of your lies. Meanwhile, the self-sufficient communities will thrive and prosper, although they will still be physically visible to the attackers. The high vibration will render them psychologically invisible. Oh, don't tell me. Roving bands of soldiers and plunderers will literally go right past the peaceful villages without even seeing them. Oh, don't tell me. So you are guarding them. The light workers will be protected in many ways as they emit positive vibrations. The government's militaries and illuminati operatives will either ignore them or fail to find them. To cut this channel, the enlightened ones will drop off the radar screen. Jews who are listen to the inner voice of God. Yeah, God, right. God creating all those chaos. God creating all those chaos will be guided as to where it will be safe or not. They will meet God or you, aliens, reptilians. They will meet with others who are receiving similar visions. They will be guided as to how to set up enlightened government that's unlike the dying systems and the unsafe areas of the world. For a time, they will undergo many challenges, and their egos will still attempt to interfere. However, the councils will be composed of the brightest and best, and great wisdom will come out of the council meetings. Gonna be to square one. Shamans, pages, what they say, Apaches, to condemn people to death, sacrifices, all the nonsense again. So what's for? Going back to square one, to primitive times. Nonsense, are you reptilians? All souls will be respected and honored. You mean the few ones? You mean the chosen one? The elected. So, as you call it, the elected ones. For a time, the communities will be somewhat isolated from the rest of the world, but eventually they will form a strong worldwide network of light. Our advice to those of you reading this message is the same as it has always been. Grow, evolve, and expand your awareness of the limitless love and compassion within yourself. Come from the center of your being. Reside in God consciousness. There is really no other way if you want to break free of the illusions of this world. You have our help and the help of the Galactic Confederation. You have more help than ever before. Oh, this is what I'm afraid about. I'm really scared to rely on you all. There will be no savior. You just want to use this fool. Aliens have been always using people, and a pity